What's up?
Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns is going down. We the talk of all towns, look around, no frowns. Oh yes, he time. We been sitting and just waiting, I want all of it. These people faking and they hating, just keep talking. You gon' feel less, they gon' hear us, we keep barking, Chris. And when it comes to Cleveland, we are all in this, yeah. Kenny from Baker, some may say throw sauce not safer. Ass I'll get a bad rap like Vader. Going deep, taking toss off like taper. Just bro free, get smoke like vapor. To the house, oh yeah, see you later. We tougher than alligators. We'll beat you right now and later. Woo, woo. Got a blessing on flow cold like juice play, yes, just know you might lose. These crazy call them typhoons. Can't block them, oh yeah, nice moves. Who the stop don't know, oh yeah, Pikachu. We really all hate to lose on every day, just watch them loose. Winning all day, okay, yeah, that's a new hobby. Got some nice new bodies. Our past records, we know it's shoddy. The city standing strong, we ain't never choppy. DP of the year in miles. Yeah, we know the well. Maybe sold out some hotels. You can't be mad, we doing well. Know them jokes that they will tell. Now watch the stories they will tell. Only time will tell. Watch where you throw it. We got water and greedy. For these that we starving, yeah, quite needy. The Cleveland Legends, we about to be. There is no stopping me. I mean, that is how I got to be. Oh yeah, Bengals, they just kittens. Ravens flew away, they hidden. Oh, those Steelers, who they kidding? Play with us, you will get smitten. Okay, yeah, we in the kitchen, bout to bake us, start the mixing. Oh yeah, damn, that bowl is missing, wait. But we said, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns is going down. We the talk of all towns, look around, no frowns. Oh yes, it's time. We been sitting and just waiting, I want all of it. These people faking and they hating, just keep talking. You gon' feel less, they gon' hear us.
The Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News is the place to be for all your gaming needs with news, guides, walkthroughs, and reviews, including their featured Shack Chat, where the guys debate who would have casted as the voice of Mario in the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Movie. And remember, you can join in on the conversation with your own topics and opinions using the Shack News Cortex and Shack News Reader. So if you're a gamer, Shack News is the website for you. Check them out on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, at the handle at Shack News, and of course at shacknews.com.
By the way, I think it's Chris Pratt who is going to be the Mario voice. I saw Shaq out there. Yeah, Star-Lord, baby. Let's go.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, the Big Play Reflog Show!
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I know damn about it.
It's time! The Big Play! Reflog Show!
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. I am your host, Big Play Dave. No Chris McNeil tonight, no reflog. Sorry for his loss. His condolences to him, McGrandma, the whole McNeil family on the loss of their grandpa. So thoughts are with you, Chris, and we will press on just like our brownies here. We've got in the co-host seat, Mr. Nick Padone. How are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, Dave? Glad to be back and glad to be talking some 2-1 Cleveland Browns.
Heck yeah, man. And also back, and it's been quite some time, fitting on the last day of the Indians at home, we have a Gabriella Cruz. Gab, what's going on?
How's it going? Not too much. Just soaking in the last at the ballpark.
Nice. So
Well,
were you
of the
there?
season.
You went down there,
I
didn't
was.
you?
Yep,
Okay.
I was working today, so worked the last Cleveland Indians home game until we're the Guardians.
Crazy.
It's
Absolutely
weird.
crazy. It's a weird feeling. Like I was talking with my
Yeah.
dad, who, he's old school and he's pissed about it, and like, it's gonna take some time to get used to the Guardians. As long as we can get a new logo, I think we'll be all right. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I can get hip to it for sure.
That's right. That's right. All right, we got a good show for you guys tonight. So we're going to kick it off with Cleveland sports headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland. They've helped us give away a ton of great autographed Browns gear. So watch Twitter for more giveaways here in the near future. And we're going to, for the people who subscribe to our YouTube channel, we are going to give away a signed Rashard Higgins jersey to one of them just here in the next couple of minutes. Super good. Then we'll get into our featured interview talking Browns with Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus's lead NFL analyst. See how the Browns are grading out. I'm super excited. Nick, I know you're super excited to talk to him. That will be very, very good. After that, we're going to get into Browns trivia. We are bringing in Pizza Guy, one of our loyal follower fans in the comments all the time. Appreciate him. For Who Wants to Be a Billionaire? We'll be giving away some Labatt and potentially a GV Art shirt. We'll see how it goes. Browns Vikings trivia, get you ready for that game. And then it's on to get you ready for Browns Vikings with some bets from my bookie. We'll give our keys to victory and how we see that game playing out. We might get to best words tweets. We'll see if we get there. Let's go ahead and get started with let's see, where are we going? We're going with headlines. Let's do it. All right, Cleveland headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland. All right, so tonight for you guys who went out and subscribed to the YouTube page, we are giving away that signed Hollywood Higgins jersey. And the winner of that is Cameron Savage at Cam Slam Savage on Twitter.
I see him on Twitter every now and again.
Oh, yeah? Nice. Good work, Cam. You are going home with that Rashard Higgins signed jersey. It's a good one. Shoot me a DM. We will get that out to you this week. Enjoy it. It's pretty sweet. All right, so let's get into this. So Browns look damn good on Sunday versus the Bears, especially second half against Justin Fields. Kind of weird going against him. Our buddy Rod put this out on Twitter. He said, this was a great win for the Browns. The D took a huge step today. The O stepped up when it needed to against the tough D. We saw some great stuff from a lot of players. He's right, man. He is absolutely right. You look at this game, a lot of guys played well. You had not a whole lot to nitpick. I mean, maybe the first half, but outside of that, we were clicking on all cylinders. So in honor of our old segment, Power Rank Monday, let's power rank the three most valuable players from yesterday's win. And Nick, I'm going to start with you. Who there's a lot you can pick from here. Who would you go with if you had to pick a most valuable player? Let's just say outside of Myles Garrett. All right. Outside of Myles Garrett, 4.5 sacks. Obviously, he was very important. But if you had to pick someone besides Myles Garrett, who out there, defense, offense, where are you going with?
All right, I'll give you one from both. So on the offensive side of the football, I'm going with Kareem Hunt. I think the Browns finally have the screen game and the check down game down to a science where every time they throw that quick pass to Kareem Hunt, I'm just like, this is breaking for 25 yards. Same with Nick Chubb too. So Kareem Hunt on the offensive side of the ball definitely carried the workload. I wrote today that in my opinion, at least, this is probably Hunt's best game as a Cleveland Brown, which is awesome to see because he's had a bunch of really good games anyways. And then on the defensive side of the ball, if we can't go with Myles Garrett, how about Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, second round pick? Woo! Definitely looked like a true showing of the guy that we traded up for in the second round, and really has made a stamp on this defense, at least he did yesterday, in his third career game. So if he keeps that kind of play up, he could have an outstanding rookie year, and the sky's the limit for him at the linebacker position.
Yeah, that's a great call. JOK looked phenomenal out there.
Yeah, he was all over the field.
Yeah, I was watching some of the plays back today, and there was one play in particular where I think it was like Justin Fields was going to throw a screen pass, and then he didn't, and JOK was on coverage on that, and Justin Fields kind of adapted. He was going to go down the middle, and JOK, like on the dime, just completely switched and knocked the pass down. I was like, this guy is flying all over the field. And Nick, we've talked about this. Like, this is what we've been looking for out of like the linebacking crew. Someone who's just going to fly all over the field, probably make some mistakes, but he's going to be an impact player and get us that W. So JOK, man, I think he is going to be phenomenal for the next few weeks and next few years.
Yeah, defensive player of the year campaign heating up.
Second rounder, Nick. Second rounder. Not bad. Gab, if you had to pick one, who would you go with for the Browns?
Okay, so yesterday I was working an Indians game, so I only got to see bits and pieces of it. So I was immediately thinking Myles Garrett.
You want to go Myles? You can go Myles.
I mean, it's just because we love Myles, and they were chanting his name.
That was sick.
I just think it's so cool. I'm happy for him. My friends who are working the video said that something to the effect of, okay, did he cabbage patch? Was this yesterday after he celebrated something? Anyone know what I'm talking about?
I don't even know what that means.
It's a dance move. Somebody came and gave like some kind of pep talk to the team. I wish I could remember the name of this guy who did this. Anyway, he said something about the cabbage patch, which is an old school dance, I believe. I don't know when exactly it came up or whatever, but anyway, I guess then Myles did something awesome and like did the cabbage patch, and so everyone was like going crazy about that, at least behind the scenes.
There we go.
The videographers were telling me about that. Oh, and then like when he would get on camera, he'd always wink. So how do you not love a guy who walks the walk and he's just charismatic, and everything like that? So he immediately came to mind. And then wasn't that OBJ's first game back? I mean, I heard he was doing,
he looked
solid
phenomenal.
OBJ work, So give him some love. He probably, even just having him on the field, probably gave everybody a little bit of a juice,
Yeah, Nick, we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, I guess. We're like, if OBJ can just be productive and be a productive wide receiver too for this team, that's a huge win. And he kind of went above and beyond that. Like there was a couple times though, and I was like, "Oh my god, look at that OBJ catch!" I was like, "Oh no, that's DPJ." Okay, that was and then another one, he turns and snags it. I was like, "OBJ!" I was like, "Oh no, that's DPJ again." Okay,
yeah.
But dude, one thing I forgot about OBJ is he just catches the ball differently. Like he just snags it out of the air. And it was super cool to see him running good routes, catching that ball. He looked great. So I'll go with OBJ and JOK for mine. Great game. Not much to nitpick. Felton looked good on the punt returns. Clowney, obviously Myles. Ronnie Harrison looked phenomenal. We have a kicker. We haven't talked nearly enough.
Franchise kicker.
Yeah, right?
Print the shirts, Cody. We have a franchise kicker, Chase McLaughlin.
That is right. Absolutely.
What a day for kickers yesterday around the league anyway. There is just a great day to be a kicker.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to keep talking about this, but Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus is taking time out of Monday Night Football. We are bringing him in now, hopefully on a commercial break. Let's bring in Mr. Sam Monson and talk some Cleveland Browns, see how these guys are grading out. There he is.
What's up, guys?
All right, NFL analyst with Pro Football Focus, host of the PFF NFL podcast, Mr. Sam Monson. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well. Thanks for taking a little time with us here.
Sure, no problem.
Talk about those 2-1 Browns. So it's a little tough to nitpick after a dominant win. At least, first half wasn't great, but second half was pretty phenomenal for us. One interesting area that we're kind of looking at that's a bit new to us, the Browns lead the NFL with 7 fourth down attempts. We've converted 4, wasn't great on Sunday. What do you think about Kevin Stefanski's kind of aggressive nature that he's taken here in the first 3 weeks?
I think it's good. I mean, the Browns are right up there in terms of leading the NFL in when you should go for fourth down, going for it when you're supposed to. There's a wave in the NFL right now of moving in that direction of going for it on fourth down when it benefits you, when you steal a little bit of a percentage point in terms of your chances of winning the game. A lot of times going for it on fourth down is actually a much more beneficial move than kicking it, whether it's a punt, whether it's a field goal. And I think it's the kind of thing that data and analytics has been pushing for a few years now, and it's slowly permeating through NFL teams and becoming more and more common knowledge and more accessible to the guys that are actually making the decisions in game. And I think the Browns are one of the teams that are right at the forefront of that. And guys like Kevin Stefanski are embracing this kind of knowledge because they understand that it's a tool, it's a benefit to them. If they're making these correct decisions in game more than their opposing number, more than the coach on the other sideline, it's not necessarily going to win them the game or lose them the game, but it's going to push them 1% closer. It's going to push them 2% closer. And in a game of inches, those are important little percentage points you can steal for nothing, for no cost other than to make a decision that, if you were just doing it on gut instinct without thinking about it or without referring to the data, you might have gone the other way.
Definitely, yeah.
A long ways away from 4th and 8 draws from Freddie Kitchens. So looking at the defense, they're here in Cleveland, Ohio, a ton of people were calling for Joe Woods' head, not to be fired, but just ripping the dude apart after the first 2 weeks of our defense. Obviously, a different story on Sunday. 47 total yards, 1 net total passing yard for Justin Fields. Obviously, Myles Garrett looked incredible. If you had to pick an X factor after looking at the data for kind of success going forward with this defense, who outside of Myles Garrett is kind of that go-to for you?
I mean, I think it's one of their 2 top rookies, either Greg Newsome or JOK. They've both been impressive through the first few weeks. JOK in particular is just flying around the field. He looks, twitchy, explosive, just flies towards the football. And it doesn't mean he's making it to the right place every single time, but I would far rather a guy, understanding that, hey, I'm going to get some things wrong, but I'm going to go at everything at 100 miles an hour. And if I make a mistake, at least I'm going to make a mistake at full speed because that's the only way you can play this game. There are other linebackers and other guys that have, comparable athleticism that come into the NFL and they're just hesitant. They don't trust it yet. And they know they're not reading it at full speed. So instead of trusting their instinct and flying to where they think they should be, they're waiting on everything and they're half a step late to everything. And they're just behind the 8 ball for the entire time until they get to the point where they're confident and they're reading things correctly. JOK is just out there going, screw it. I'm going to get some things wrong, but I don't care. I'm going to make plays and I'm going to trust what I see. And it's going to be a net win. I'm going to be better off doing it this way than hesitating and second guessing myself every single play until I'm 100% confident I've got it down. So I love the way he's playing so far, and it's paying dividends. He's making some plays, and he's doing some really good things for them. And then Greg Newsome's holding up pretty well. And look, last year, pretty much every single rookie corner in the NFL just got lit on fire in their first year. Targets going towards rookie corners last season averaged a passer rating of like 113, I think. So, just because the guy is a first-round pick doesn't mean they're actually going to survive well in year one as a corner. But, through a few games, Newsome, I think, has held up pretty well. And if he can play at a pretty decent level opposite Denzel Ward and with John Johnson at the back and with the pass rush they can bring up front, like that's potentially transformative for that defense versus last year.
Yeah, I mean, we've dealt with like Justin Gilbert, so this is a welcome change here in Cleveland, Ohio. Is there any player that maybe when you guys look at this that's maybe not grading out all that well on the defensive side? One guy maybe in particular that you think needs to step it up for this defense to really take the next step and be a consistently really good defense in the league?
I would like to see Troy Hill get back to the level he was at with the Rams last year, and even the year before that. He had a couple of good seasons with the Rams, and they've kind of moved him around before he came to Cleveland. He was their starting corner for a while, and then they moved him inside to the slot, and they've kind of bounced around with his position. For the past couple of years, I think he's played pretty well. Hasn't quite matched that so far yet with the Browns, so if he, takes a step forward, again, that's a big part. Like the real question mark for this Brown secondary coming into this year for me was not any of the players that they brought in. It was just the volume of them. And just logically, anytime you add that number of players, even if you hit on them all, which is by no means guaranteed, the chances are one or two of those guys are going to be misses from a draft evaluation standpoint, or even just a pro level evaluation standpoint. Not all free agents mesh the way you think they will. So you're probably going to miss on one or two of them. But even if they all hit, it's going to take a little bit of time for it to all gel and coalesce as one cohesive unit. And I think that's entirely plausible. So Troy Hill right now, I think, is one of those pieces that just needs to get back up to speed or get himself on the same page as everybody else and play to the level he's shown he's capable of the last couple of years.
Definitely. And flipping to that offensive side of the football, somebody that I wanted to ask you about is one Baker Mayfield, obviously a very polarizing figure, both locally and nationally. He's been called, a game manager, a top 10 guy, a product of his weapons. We've kind of heard it all. How do you view Baker Mayfield as we progress here into week 4 of this season and hopefully for the Browns into another playoff push?
I think the story for Baker Mayfield is still largely unwritten. He was one of the most impressive prospects we ever saw come out of the draft. He has some of the best single-season PFF grades we've ever given at the college level. He was the most accurate quarterback we'd ever seen at that point. And he was a fantastic prospect. And then obviously hit the ground running as a rookie. It all imploded in year 2 with Freddie Kitchens' offense and the entire thing just burning down around him. And then last year was a real bounce back. It started off ugly with the loss to Baltimore. The Pittsburgh game was ugly as well. And there was so much of last season where even good, bad, or indifferent, it was difficult to take anything from it because, the COVID year, the no preseason, just trying to get everything going on the fly. So it sort of made sense that they got killed in week 1 to Baltimore, who is like the perfect defense to cause you problems for a new system and all those kinds of things. Similarly, Pittsburgh, just had so much ability to cause pressure and destroy a game plan that way. Again, it kind of made sense. And then on the flip side, the Bengals defense was so bad that you would expect them to put up a ton of points. So you start throwing out, you got to throw out the Baltimore game. You got to throw out the Pittsburgh game. You got to throw out the Cincinnati games. Then there's a streak of like ridiculous weather games that I'm not sure you can take anything from. So we ended up with this like 4 or 5 game stretch at the end, which were the only games where you were confident actually meant anything in terms of Baker Mayfield and his evaluation. And then this year, all of the excuses from last year are gone. The same system. Everybody's been there for a while now. The offensive line's back. The coaching staff is still there. all the things that were question marks a year ago are no longer. So now you're going into this year saying, well, Baker Mayfield should have a career year this season because everything is better around him. The situation is better. There's no reason he wouldn't have a career year. The question is, how good can that be? And I think that's still an open question right now. He's played pretty well so far through 3 weeks, but hasn't necessarily taken a giant leap forward from a season ago. And, when you watch him play, he does so many good things, and there's a lot of sort of moxie. There's a lot of the stuff that we saw from his college career. And then just every now and again, there's a play that you wish you had back, a play that you wish he didn't make. And maybe those will always be there with him, or maybe that is something he can kind of eliminate as he goes on and gets just a little bit better and just, steals an extra few levels where he understands where those plays go wrong. But right now, that's the only thing keeping him from being one of those best quarterbacks in the NFL.
How about zooming out a little bit and looking at the Browns team as a whole and looking around the AFC? Where do you see the Browns? The Chiefs have struggled, Ravens up and down, Buffalo struggled with the Steelers. Where do you see the Browns in the picture?
I think they still have to be one of the top contenders in the AFC. I mean, I've said going into the year that if you white labeled the Browns roster and you showed people this roster and took all the labeling off it, said this is generic team, where would you put them? You would put them right up there with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now the Rams maybe are in that conversation, but you would say this is one of the best rosters in the NFL. But because it's the Browns and they come with this 20-year history of disappointment and always falling short and the wheels falling off, nobody's quite ready to sort of go out on that limb and say, no, they're definitely going to be in the AFC Championship game or pushing for the Super Bowl. Nobody's quite ready to put that bet on yet because we're kind of expecting the other shoe to drop. But there's no reason it will. This is a really good team, top to bottom in terms of roster. It's well coached. It's run in a smart way with Andrew Berry and the guys they have in the front office. This isn't the old Browns anymore. They have successfully renovated this whole thing, and they look as good as any team in the AFC. I mean, that game against Kansas City, I think, was significant. I know they ended up losing it, but it was a sort of statement to the Chiefs that, hey, if we meet again in the playoffs, we're for real. We're not a team that you're going to be able to roll over just because you're the Chiefs. It took a late fumble to cost them that game.
One question before we let you go here. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. When you look at these two, especially with what you guys do with grading out players, historically, where would you put this running back tandem? Because obviously we're homers here in Cleveland, Ohio. We think it's one of the best of all time. Where do you guys go when you actually look at the data?
Yeah, it probably is. I think right now those guys are, what are they, number 4 and number 6 in terms of PFF rushing grades on the season. They're two of the best running backs in the league. I would say you can make a pretty good case that in the last few years, they've been 2 of the top 5 running backs in the league, and they're on the same roster. The only thing really that goes against them being one of the very, very best running back tandems of all time is just that today we use running backs less. It's more a pass-focused league than it was in years past. But in terms of talent, there probably haven't been too many backfields that can rival these two in terms of pure ability. They are 2 fantastic players. Nick Chubb is arguably the best pure runner in the NFL. The only kind of flaw in his game is that he's not a great factor in the passing game. But then Kareem Hunt makes up for that. I mean, he's a guy that can run legitimate wide receiver passing patterns or be a factor 30 yards downfield against linebackers and safeties and that kind of thing. So together, they are a perfect combination.
Sam, I was watching your show this morning. You guys do such a phenomenal job breaking down the entire NFL. For those who haven't watched your show, so I was watching on YouTube. Where's the best spot? Where do you want people to tune into this, and how can they find it?
Yeah, we're live on YouTube anytime we do a PFF podcast. So go to the PFF YouTube channel. Just Google PFF YouTube. You'll find it straight away. Or anywhere you get your podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast. PFF NFL Podcast is our main one. Myself and Steve Palazzolo. And then we also have a shorter, bite-sized PFF NFL Daily, which is 10 minutes every day, just on whatever topic comes up that day. So we've got, one on Justin Fields' debut. We had an emergency one today because of Josh Gordon getting reinstated and signing with the Chiefs. So that's a quick little hitter for anyone that doesn't want the monster marathon shows we do.
Now, Nick did say he wanted the Browns to bring Gordon back. Last question before we let you out of here. How do you think Josh Gordon's going to do with the Chiefs?
It's tough to know. I think for the Chiefs, it's a perfect kind of gamble. There's almost no downside, and the upside is potentially huge. Now, that doesn't mean it's very likely to happen, but it feels a little bit like Antonio Brown with the Bucs last year, right? Like, there's a lot of downside in terms of there's a pretty good chance it doesn't work out, but if it doesn't, it didn't cost you much. It cost you a roster spot for a while to find out. If it does work out, you suddenly have this dynamic, receiving weapon in the pass game that you didn't have before, and that just adds a different layer. And for Tampa Bay, it gave them just another option so that when somebody took away Chris Godwin or Mike Evans, you had another guy to throw to. For the Chiefs, it gives them a potential real upgrade over a guy like DeMarcus Robinson, who just isn't up to that level. If somebody figures out a way of slowing down Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce at the same time, now you can potentially have Josh Gordon go off in the way that Sammy Watkins used to when that kind of thing happened and all the attention went elsewhere. He's capable of exploiting that if he can, keep himself together and keep himself on the field.
Sam, you are the best. I know we kept you long for Monday Night Football. You've got players to grade. Everyone go follow him on Twitter at PFF _Sam. And we greatly appreciate the time. Record prediction for the Browns. What do you think?
I think they'll win the division. I think they'll probably be chasing to the 12-13 wins.
Heck yeah, man. All right, we appreciate it. Go
Thanks,
Browns.
guys. Take it easy.
All right, take care.
Go Browns.
Good stuff out of Sam. Phenomenal stuff. Those guys over at PFF, they know their stuff. All of their grading systems are phenomenal. Go check them out if you haven't. And that YouTube show during the day in the morning, very, very good. Very good. So Sam Monson, PFF, lead NFL analyst. Round of applause for him. Nick, did you hear that? Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, greatest running back duo of all time.
Yeah. Did you also hear that Josh Gordon would have added a welcomed wrinkle to an offense? So take that, mean Twitter people that were angry at me.
All right. Oh, Gab, you haven't been around for this. So we started this new segment called Who Wants to Be a Billionaire? Are you ready for it?
I see this. I'm pumped.
Yes. All right. And we have Pizza Guy, who is our contestant this week coming in. Let's get this going. It is time to play Who Wants to Be a Billionaire? I love the music. Let me bring it down. All right. Each week on Who Wants to Be a Billionaire, one contestant will get a chance to answer Browns trivia questions for a chance to win. We're going to start off with cash for a Labatt 6-pack. Then if you move on, a 12-pack. And then if you move on, a 24-pack. That's a case of Labatt beer. And one final question. If you want to move on to try and win a GV Art shirt, I would go with the Myles Garrett, even though I love the Jarvis Landry. After this week, I'd go Myles Garrett. You can win a case of Labatt and a GV Art. And this week, we welcome in the one and only Mr. Pizza Guy. There he is. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, Dave?
What are you drinking there?
Oh, brought the Labatt on set.
All right, hold
Well
on.
done.
Round of applause for product placement right there. Oh, and Chris is going to be jealous that he was not on tonight. Look at that Miami flag and the Browns flag. Well done, sir.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, tell the
An honor.
Twitter people. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you been a Browns fan?
Good Lord, I've been a Browns fan since '72. One of the first things I remember is when we almost gave the undefeated Miami Dolphins their only loss of the year. And unfortunately, fourth quarter, we kind of lost it with the guy that came up with us in Paul Warfield. So that was my first. I was 7 years old. Not actually, I'm sorry, I was 7.5 years old. And that's the first time I remember. And I've been a Browns fan ever since. Ever since. Good and bad. Through it all.
You've been through the ringer. How confident are you in Browns trivia?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know.
The bright lights of the big play reflog.
We'll do the best we can, and I'm going to try and make it the best show I can for you, Dave and Nick and Gab. How about that?
I will say, so Gab, Bill is the one in the comments almost every week, and we greatly, greatly appreciate your support, Bill. You drop some knowledge in the comments, like way more than we probably know. So I'm pretty confident that you're going to do all right here.
Hope so.
Eyebrow raise. All right, are you ready?
Let's go. Let's get it started.
I know, right?
No pressure.
A lot on the line. All right, so now one thing before we get started. If you get stuck, you can phone a friend. You can call them on speaker. They have 5 seconds to answer after you read the question. No time for Google. They got to give it right away.
Yeah, I don't think my boys are going to be paying attention here. I told them that I might need your help later on, but I don't know. We'll see.
You could call me like, Dad, I'm busy.
That's exactly right. Oh God,
right,
what does he want?
All right, here we go. Question number 1 for cash for a 6-pack of Labatt Blue. The last time the Browns faced the Vikings was 2017. Minnesota beat Cleveland 33-16 in London. Who was the Vikings quarterback for that game, 2017?
Dave, that would be your favorite quarterback on the Browns right now, Mr. Case Keenum.
He watches the show. Oh, we had to work it in.
I get it. That's totally understandable.
All right, you have a 6-pack. Would you like to move on?
Absolutely.
That was confidence. That was good. All right, question number 2 for cash for a 12-pack of Labatt. Gab, would you like to give him the question?
Yes. Okay. The Browns beat the Vikings the last time they played in Minnesota back in 2013. Brian Hoyer led the Browns with 321 yards and 3 touchdowns. Who was the Browns' leading receiver in that game? 10 catches, 146 yards, and a TD. We could.
Oh, I gotta think about this
too. If you need a hint, I can give you one.
Okay, if I need a hint, I gotta think about this. Wow.
Was that Mike Pettin? I believe that was Mike Pettin.
Is that Pettin? Wow. Okay, let me think here. Well, the game-winning touchdown, right? Game-winning touchdown was
the leading receiver.
Jordan Cameron.
Whoa. Is that your final answer?
Are you sure you want a hint?
Okay, I'll go with a hint.
Who is the Browns' leading receiver in that game?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Gab, go ahead and give a hint.
Should I give the hint? Well, I could do a real gimme hint.
You go for it.
A gimme hint?
He was just reinstated.
No, that's kind of a big clue.
Oh, Mr. Josh Gordon.
Well, okay, we like our fans. He's a big commenter. He deserves it. He knows a lot of things. I'm the worst with hints.
That was kind of you.
Here's Gab. Gab is like, All right, here's a clue.
He likes
His
weed.
name-
He literally, we just talked about him.
That's a
name
really good
rhymes
clue.
with Smosh Schmorden.
Me gives the most obvious. I told you it was gonna be a gimme hint. I don't know.
Gab, thank you. Yeah, I almost went. I tell you, I was almost all in with my chips there too, Dave and Nick. I was almost all in with that. I really thought it was Cameron.
Jordan Cameron. He was
Okay.
good, man. And then
He had the
Westbrook-
winning touchdown catch, didn't he?
I don't
forgot about
remember.
that guy.
Yeah, I mean he had a great year before he went to the Dolphins, I think, right?
Yeah, I think he had the winning touchdown catch that game, but yeah, I forgot about all the other passes to Gordon too.
Yeah. So well, you got it.
Good question. That's a good question.
All right. So I think would you
Wow.
like to move on? You have a 12
Yeah.
pack of that right now.
And we have to move on. Are you kidding me? If not, then you'd have to go to your next segment. And why look to next week? Let's keep going.
That's right.
Is it all or
One
nothing,
question at
Dave?
a time. It's all or nothing.
Oh,
Well,
sweet,
no, he
okay.
could walk away right now. He could walk
I
away.
could.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got you. All right.
But Pizza
He's
Guy is
going
not a quitter. All right, question 3. I feel like we need the epic music.
Yeah.
There we go. This will make it better. Okay. All right, question number 3 for cash for a case of Labatt Blue or Labatt Blue Light. All right, Myles Garrett set a franchise record with 4.5 sacks yesterday. The previous record was 4 sacks set by this linebacker in 2003.
Ah,
And I'm going to
This
give
one
you
is tough.
this is a really tough one. I'm going to give you a clue on this one. The Browns had a wide receiver with the same name, spelled differently, but they had the same name.
all right.
He doesn't give the same kind of clues I do.
That's all right.
And his name rhymes with, no, just joking.
Let me think here.
This is tough. We're going to have to talk to Nick about these questions. This one's real tough for the third one.
But I remember hearing this yesterday and like, oh yeah, I remember that. And now I'm drawing a blank on his name.
The bright lights of Big Play Reflog.
Davis?
Oh!
It sure is. Do you have a
got
first name?
it.
I don't even think we need a first name, right? We're good.
Andre Dave? Not. No,
Yeah.
that was Andre Davis.
Hey, Bill!
Look
Wow,
at
he
you
just
pull
whipped that
that
out of nowhere.
Wow.
That was incredible.
Good job.
Well
Thank you.
done. All right. I will say, Pizza Guy, I think you're getting this one.
I don't know, man.
Would you like to move
I
on?
needed help the last two.
That's true. Are you moving on? You've got a case of
All
Labatt. Would you like a GV Art gift card to go
Oh, are
pick
you kidding me?
those?
Absolutely. Wow, that would be fantastic. It'd be fantastic.
All right. Here we go. Question number 4. For the case of Labatt and a GV Art gift card. The Vikings beat the Browns in the 1969 NFL Championship 27-7. Which Hall of Fame running back led the Browns in rushing that day?
Leroy Kelly.
Oh, let's go!
Mic drop.
Wow, that was quick. I knew you were going to get that one. I knew it.
Well, and the other crazy thing about that is too, we used to be in the NFC, and I think a lot of people forget that. And we were one game away from going against, what was it? That was the Chiefs. That would have been the Chiefs. That was the year that the Chiefs beat the Vikings, and we could have been in the Super Bowl that year. Oh my gosh!
This year we're going to the Super Bowl. We need a round of applause. You are our first winner of Who Wants to Be a Billionaire.
Wow!
Congratulations.
Thank you. Hey, Dave, we had talked backstage, and I just want to say to you, Nick, and to Chris, and then also to Gab, there are so many of us that listen to you guys over the past 18 months, and you guys have been fantastic. Thanks for the show that you put in, and I know you guys put a lot of effort into this, and trust me, there's hundreds and thousands of people who really appreciate it. They don't get to watch like that Monday night, but I'm telling you, we talk about you a lot, and we want to thank you for the past 18 months. It's been great. Keep it rolling.
You are awesome, and you said a lot of hard work goes into it. You you saw us before the show started. A sneak peek into the Big Play Reflux show. Well, no, man, that means a lot. You are awesome. You're the man.
Thank you. You guys are great.
All right,
Thanks,
so
Bill.
enjoy.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Awesome.
Enjoy that case of beer.
Learned.
Will do. Gab, be good.
Schmorted.
Nick, you and Phil, have fun at it.
No,
Good
we
show.
will. We
Good
will.
show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, one more round of applause for the man, the myth, the legend, Pizza Guy. Going home with a case of Labatt Blue and a GV Art shirt. Shoot me a DM. We'll get that to you here shortly. All right, let's move on. It is time for Big Plays of the Week, presented by my bookie. Nick, you know I wait for this segment every single week. It is time to look at some bets.
Dude, you were so close.
We'll talk about that in a second.
All right.
My bookie. Our winning season is in full effect at MyBookie. It's time to get in on the action. Browns fans, get started. Double your first deposit, giving you the firepower and added excitement to the games you love. Stop fighting on the walk from the Muni Lot to First Energy. Go get some free money. You got OSU football odds, NFL lock of the season, over $500,000 in contest prizes live on site. Make this season, this Brown season, as we go to the Super Bowl, the best one ever. Sign up with MyBookie. Use promo code BIGPLAY for your first ever deposit match, dollar for dollar. Extra money in your wallet instantly just for using MyBookie promo code BIGPLAY. And check out those parlay bets. And Nick, you were just talking about it. We almost hit it. It was $6 pays $5,000.
Oh my God. We wouldn't have been here tonight, Dave. We would have been, I don't know, booking flights. Yeah, looking on Travelocity, so close. Your parlay that you cook up on Browns mornings was literally 10 yards and a touchdown away from turning a $6 bet into $5,000. $6,000, right?
Yeah, it was $6 paid $5,000.
Oh,
Gab, we were 10. Nick Chubb needed 1 touchdown, and Austin Hooper needed 10 more yards. It was so close.
Man,
I know.
like
this
how
is
do you
the
guys,
year, though.
how do you guys? It resets every week. You guys go in. Can you explain a little breakdown of the MyBookie thing?
Yeah, so there's like if you log in, there's a section on there where you can. It's called like a prop bet, Gab, where it's not like you're not betting on the game per se, like the team. You can go on and bet. It's like carny bets. Like you can go on and bet like how many yards Baker Mayfield's going to get.
Okay.
And so what I do is I go out there
and do a
and
bunch at once, or can you only select like you can choose to do? Oh, I'll do only these 3, something like that.
yeah. So you can pick which ones you want to do. I do 10.
Oh,
and I
okay.
picked my favorite 10 out there. And so then you just, you put $5 on it. And if they all hit, you win a ton of money, which is super fun.
You guys should have a board going that shows who has the most winnings.
Well, so far it's 0. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
We were so close.
Once one of us wins, then we're going to start that board. You know what? With $5,000, we'll go out and buy a board.
Yeah,
Fine. You know what? I got to get in on this because I think I'll have beginner's luck.
You know what? You probably would. All right, we'll do the next one together. You'll pick them, and then we'll win. All right, let's do that. All right, so let's look at this week. Browns covered yesterday 7.5 point spread pretty easily. This week, Nick, I saw you tweet this out. 1.5 point favorites at Minnesota. Vikings are 1-2, coming off actually a big win versus Seattle. I think you were, but are you surprised that we're only favored by 1.5 heading to Minnesota?
Yeah, I was surprised. I saw that and I stopped everything I was doing and I was like, I need to get a tweet out because this is a little surprising. And listen, Minnesota's good, so I definitely think they're a little bit underrated, and we'll get into that in a second. So I hear Vegas's reasoning. However, 1.5, that's just tremendously low. Vegas is pretty much saying this is kind of a toss-up. They don't really know which way that this is going to go. I think 1.5 is really low. I thought it would at least be in the 3.5 to 5.5 range at minimum. So to see it be that low, I joke about it all the time, Dave, but at some point it's going to constitute a drive over to Pittsburgh or to Pennsylvania or Michigan to get one of these going.
Pittsburgh, ugh. Gab, what do you think about this? Over under, so total points for the game for this Sunday, it's set at 53 points.
Combined points.
So combined between the Vikings and the Browns, would you take the over or the under on that?
It's weird. If I factor in our defense, I would kind of guesstimate like 30-17 Browns. So that would be under.
Yeah, that could definitely happen.
So I'm gonna go under. I don't know. I have a feeling.
I just have such trouble betting the under because if it hits over, then you're just done. You're like, oh, that wasn't very fun. I'm full disclosure. I'm horrible at betting.
Well,
I just do it for fun.
Can you win if you bet under? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Just what? Less exciting?
Well, why would you bet if you couldn't win?
You can't win if you get it right? I don't get it.
No. Yeah, you can bet the under, and then if it's under, you win.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just less fun because then, like, if they hit the over, it's like, man, now I kind of got nothing to cheer for, and I lost a bunch of money.
So now I feel like a jerk, and I lost money. I get it.
Right. Whereas, like, if it's in the fourth quarter, and you're like, or like if you bet the over, like it's in the fourth quarter, and you need a field goal to hit your over, it's just a lot more exciting because it's like, oh my God, move the ball, like score.
When we're at the mercy of chance, it's stressful either way. So I'm just gonna try to get it right. Let's go a little stats on this.
All right.
That's right. Yeah, I'm going full PFF data analytics.
I was going to say, do a call back to the PFF. Sam, bring him in. I'm thinking the numbers say ballpark 30-17. That's under.
I like that score a lot.
I think yeah.
I think that could happen. Nick, thanks to Myles Garrett and the defense. This was the first Browns game so far that was under. Mm-hmm. Are you going with Gab? Or are you going for a bunch of points with Kirk Cousins and Baker?
Yeah, I'm going with a bunch of points. I think this is the game of stolen offenses. It's Gary Kubiak with Minnesota. It's Kevin Stefanski against his old team, and Kirk Cousins. Say what you want about him. He's probably an average quarterback, but if he's good at one thing, it's just throwing up meaningless touchdowns. So I wouldn't be surprised if what Gab said is true and it's a 30-17 game, and then Kirk Cousins at the end of it throws a meaningless touchdown that ruins anybody that had the under. So I see Gab's logic. I just have seen this Kirk Cousins show before. Another big factor that we'll have to watch out for as this week progresses is if Dalvin Cook plays. Because if Dalvin Cook plays, the over is probably a lot more likely to hit just because he's really good. But yeah, I'm going to bet. I definitely picked the over. I think the Browns, like Gab, I picked them to score 30 points in this game. And Kirk Cousins is just so random and will infuriate you with those random touchdowns late. So it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Kirk is capable of holding up his side of the bargain to hit that over.
Yeah, it was funny during, I think, Browns media post game. Stefanski was talking about going back to Minnesota. Here he is, courtesy of Cleveland Browns Twitter.
There, but it's really going to be a great challenge for our team. I think it's a really good football team. We'll start getting to work on them this afternoon as coaches. But you think about some of our players when they go back home or whatever, you got to have a talk with them. You don't have to have a talk with me. I understand what's at stake. It's a really big game versus a really good team. So we got our work cut out for us.
Pros pro.
I mean, I agree. Sometimes, it's like, what do you want him to say, especially against his own team? Like, he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, those guys suck. We're going to walk in there and blow the brakes off them." But at the same time, as I listen to him talk, it is a solid team. They have Kirk Cousins, who is infuriating, but he has a big arm. They have Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. Even without Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison. They have pieces offensively to put up a lot of points. Their defense sucks, though, and it's an inside controlled environment. So we should be able to throw the hell out of the ball. We should be able to run the ball easily, and it's going to be a lot of points scored. And Stefanski's right. He's smart enough, though. He's not gonna like ride the highs or ride the lows of like playing his old team. It's just another game for him. I truly believe that.
Yeah, it's always interesting, like when you have a coach on your team or a player on your team, they go and play one of your rivals, or you go and play a team that they were on. Like, remember when like Mike Brown or like Anderson Varejao for the Cavs, like we're like, oh,
wow.
he's giving away the secrets of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you think there's anything to that when you look at, so Zimmer obviously knows Stefanski, knows the system there. Stefanski obviously knows Kirk Cousins. He coached him. Do you think anyone has like a distinct advantage when it comes to kind of inside knowledge on either one of these teams?
I think it's different in basketball and football, right? Because basketball with Andy, he could have been like, when LeBron, it's a bad example with LeBron too, but in basketball, you could pick up tendencies in the little ways that people do things. It's a lot easier because there's only 5 people on the floor at one time. But with football, and we've seen this with Kevin Stefanski, it literally takes an entire unit to be in sync, to be on time. And it's like one of the coolest things in sports. We talked about like the screen passes I did with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on these little dump offs. The patience and the timing that it takes for Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller to complete their pancakes downfield, and for Hunt and Chubb to just be trailing them with perfect timing to break through those seams. It's like you could be ready for that. I'm sure every defense is ready for that. But then when it actually happens to you, it's like, damn, how do we stop that? So there's probably something to it, but at the same time, when you have the execution mixed with the talent that the Browns have, I don't know that it is stoppable.
So, Nick, I know you were talking about this being air raid, high-scoring game. I think we might see a lot of runs. I mean, if Dalvin Cook plays, Madison, who I have in my fantasy, he's really good.
Yeah, he is.
And Chubb and Hunt, and throw in Demetric Felton, I could see a lot of it. Gab might be right. It might be a low-scoring affair of just a bunch of running backs.
Yeah, and that benefits the Browns, So if that happens, I'm not devastated. Dalvin Cook's really good. Like you said, Dave, Alexander Madison is really good. He was the top fantasy football waiver wire pickup, and I'm surprised that even made it to waivers and people didn't just burn a late round draft pick on him. So I had seen them running the ball, but with how smart Kevin Stefanski is, nothing against Mike Zimmer. I just think that benefits us.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, so we had 9 sacks yesterday. We went right into Sam. We didn't even get into that. 9 sacks, 9 times. Kirk Cousins, he's only been sacked 5 times this season. Gab, this new look Browns defense came out of nowhere. Sacks on Kirk Cousins. It's set for 2.5. Would you take the over or under? Do you think we can get 3 sacks?
I'm going over on that. That's one I'll go over on. I'm too jazzed about our defense and about the sacks we had yesterday, and I think that'll carry over. I think after you do something like that, I can't imagine we'll take our foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Nick, who do you think is going to kind of lead this team against Minnesota when let's go offense, defense. Let's start offense.
Man, that's a good question. I think offensively, it just has to be the running backs. Like, I would love to give a flashy answer and say that, like, this is Odell's big day. And really, it could be a number of people that just because that's how the offense is run. This Vikings defense is not great. So it could be a day where you put up a bunch of points, a bunch of different ways. I thought Nick Chubb, despite having 22 carries for 84, 86 yards, he had kind of a normal running back game. It wasn't exactly a Nick Chubb game. And he got better and better moving into the fourth quarter. So I think just feeding him and then pick up where you left off with Kareem in the passing game and utilizing those short little screens to open things up downfield for Beckham. It's just the recipe for success. It's proven to be throughout the first 3 games of the year, even in the loss to Kansas City. So keep going with that little screen game and just win. It's an opponent that you should beat. You're favored on the road. Just do it. Doesn't matter how you do it offensively.
By the way, how spoiled are we? Like Nick Chubb averages 3.8 yards for the game, and we're like, he did not look good at all. We're like, where's the 5.5 to 7.5 that we're used to every single game?
Yeah. Where was like when you're standing on the 40 and it's like, oh, here will be like a nice little 6-yard gain, and then he just breaks it for a touchdown. Like that didn't happen, so it's due to happen in this Vikings game.
That's right. This is kind of an interesting stat. The Browns have had a different player lead the team in receiving yards each game this season. Obviously, with Jarvis out, Odell coming back, but it was Njoku week 1, Felton week 2, and then we had OBJ week 3. If you had to pick one of the wide receivers who is going to get the most yards, the most touches, the most catches this coming week, who would you pick to be kind of the all-star out of that wide receiving room?
I'm gonna go with Felton just because he was so exciting to watch in week 2.
He's so fun.
In my first dog pound experience, my dad and I just kept looking at each other and high-fiving, and my dad kept being like, "Wow, that's the young guy."
Yeah, I would love to get more touches for that guy. However, you can make it happen. Obviously, punt returns, kick returns, whatever. But if you can get him in short screens, dink and dunk to that dude, his juke move, his spin move is something I haven't seen, I don't know, since like, God, who was that guy in the Chiefs who was super fast? Jamal Charles, remember him?
Yeah, man, talk about old fantasy football names. Jamal Charles, remember you go in with like the 3rd pick, it's like, oh, Jamal Charles should be there for me. Yeah,
just quickness.
I put out on Twitter, like, Demetric Felton is everything that I thought and wanted Duke Johnson to be, except we took Felton in the 6th round and Duke in the 3rd round, and Felton looks just as good, and they're finding ways to actually use him. So
he looks better.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I love having those hybrid guys, and I know Stefanski does too, because their whole thing is versatility.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's going to be an interesting game. Let's get some score predictions for Browns Vikings. Gab, you already gave yours 30-17. I love that. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Nick, what's your prediction here?
I'll go 31-24.
31-24. Okay. Is it going to be garbage points, or is this going to be a close one?
Yeah, garbage points. It'll, like Gab said, it'll be 31-17, 31-14, and then Joe Woods will take his foot off the brake, or foot off the gas, kind of put it on the brake a little bit, and then Kirk Cousins will just do the Kirk Cousins thing, and it'll never really be that close. I think, the Browns are really solid, but the overhits, and Kirk Cousins puts up some garbage time touchdowns.
There we go. I love that. All right, we ran late, but obviously a ton of stuff to cover. We talked about it a little bit, Gab. We haven't talked Indians at all. The season's kind of wrapping up. Just for the viewers who didn't hear you right at the beginning there, what was the feel at the ballpark while you were there for the last game for the Indians at home?
It was interesting. We had a lot of people for a Monday makeup game, so that was nice. It was like we had a good showing of support for our last game, and even better, thank God, the offense was clicking. So, you want to leave on a feel-good note, and it was kind of a nice little, honestly, it was kind of out of a story just because we had such beautiful weather too. I work a lot of games at the ballpark. You don't get weather like we've had today. It was sunshine. You're not too hot. You're not too cold. It was just like beautiful. We were winning. It was cool after the game ended. The players, stood up and tipped their caps, and everybody gave them a standing ovation. It was nice, and I think that we're going to have a really great new chapter. I think we're going to have some really great players. I don't know if you guys saw, but like Ahmed Rosario has been like on fire. He's the first player since 1986 to have 6 4-hit games, and like he's just been wild. Jose was betting over 400 during the month of September. Like we've had, I mean, so those are the Jose's the given, but like we've just had people come out of the woodwork, like even Cal Quantrill doing really well with pitching. And so if you look at where we're headed next year, I think we're going to have a lot of tools. Miles Straw is an incredible outfielder, and he hits the ball. Between him, Ahmed, and you'll never know, like maybe it'll be Josh Naylor or Zimmer or Harry. If we hold on, I think Harry's coming back. Harold Ramirez, he was so consistent. And between, if we can get bats, our pitching is there. I think we have all the tools. I think Guardians Year 1 is going to be a really cool year.
Yeah, you're right. We got the roster for it. What are they doing with the giant Indian sign left center?
I guess we're just going to have to we're going to have to, all three of us, go in the middle of the night, dismantle it, and try to fit it in your man cave for our next show.
Yes, I'll put it on top of the house. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
My wife won't care at all.
Christmas will be awesome.
That's right. All right, we had to get a little Indians talk in there. For Browns, I'm gonna go over as well, as I always do. I'm gonna go 42-28. I think we beat them pretty handedly. I think we get a touchdown on defense this week.
Yeah, they need
Turnovers has been a bit of a struggle, thus far in the season. So I think we're going to get one. Mac Wilson, our buddy, tried to grab one off Justin Fields, little bit out of reach, but they're getting closer, man. They're getting closer.
and they had one, and it got called defensive pass interference because John Johnson III literally just placed his hands on the guy before going backwards. But that's the league that it is now. They care about points, and they will do anything to get a lot of points on the board. So you can't do that. But I agree. They got to find ways to get takeaways. As great as the defense played yesterday and really has looked okay and has kept games low scoring to their opponents, you got to find ways to take the ball away. That's how you're going to beat the likes of Baltimore, of Buffalo, of Kansas City, even the Steelers and Cincinnati. That's how you win those games, is you create turnovers. So I'm looking forward to see it. I want it to be Denzel Ward. I think he's so due.
Yeah. And he's got a new GV shirt, so
he does. Yeah.
Good karma.
Warden.
That's right. All right, let's end on this. Nick, who's in last place in the AFC North?
Wow. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Dave, are in last place in the AFC North. Who's in last place in the AFC West? Have you checked that one out?
Who cares?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that makes me nervous, actually.
No. Why?
Hey, man, we're looking good. We were in way too long tonight, so let's get out of here. Gab needs to get to sleep. Nick, you need to get to sleep as well. But thanks for tuning in to the Big Play Reflog Show. Catch us live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, Big Play Reflog. Huge shout out to Shaq News. Check them out on Twitch. Live video game streaming all the time. Fantastic stuff out of them. Video game reviews. Go drink a Labatt Blue Light, like our buddy Pizza Guy who won the case of Labatt Blue. Go pick up some GV art shirts. Go check out TSE Cleveland. Get some signed autograph memorabilia. Awesome, awesome stuff. And we will see you next Monday night, 9 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you then.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, the Big Play Reflog Show!